Hi, I'm Signa. Thank you so much for joining me. So we are going to be doing yogic restorative breathing or 4-chamber breath. And this is an amazing practice that is accessible to just about everyone, that not only restores the nervous system, the digestive system, the hormonal endocrine system, but also brings nourishment to each of the organs in our abdominal area. It also quiets the mind and nourishes the brain. So this is a very potent yet restorative practice that can benefit us tremendously to counterbalance anxiety, stress, depression, overwhelm, and also enhance our performance with mental clarity and physical capacity, athletic ability. So it's to me, one of the golden treasures of my yogic studies of now more than 33 years. I have always held on to this particular practice and return to it again and again. So bring your hands to your low belly, touch your navel with your thumb. This is called the lower belly in this exercise. Now bring your middle fingers and touch them into the navel and feel up above the navel to the rib cage. This is the lower belly. So we're breaking the breathing area, the torso, into 4 chambers or 4 regions. Now bring your hands to touch the rib cage up to the heart. This is what we're calling the lower lungs. And then from the heart to the shoulders, touch here, this is the upper lungs. Okay, so once again, lower belly, navel into the pelvis. We consider that a breathing region for this practice. Upper belly, navel to the ribs, another breathing region or chamber. Lower lungs, ribs to the heart. Upper lungs, heart to the shoulders. Okay, so we'll go ahead and set up our space, and then I'll invite you to just watch me for 1 or 2 rounds to make sure that you really know what you're doing before you lay down. So we're going to take this blanket, lay it down in front of us, and we're going to roll it like a little burrito. Just roll it, little burrito, veggie roll, sushi roll, whatever. And you might have some little bumps in it. That's okay. If there's a big bump, maybe unroll and smooth that big bump out so that this is comfortable. You have a folded end and you have a loose end. You want to put the folded end at the top of your mat and even off of it a little bit so that the loose end is right about in the middle of your mat. And then we're going to come sit in front of it and kind of scooch it back or scooch it forward. Notice I'm not sitting on it. I've got this touching my sacrum, and I'm now going to lay back onto it. And when I get here, I might need to adjust a little to feel comfortable. The tailbone is on the ground. The blanket is right touching the middle top part of my sacrum. Notice that my feet are open like a triangle, like a V, like a Shavasana position. My feet are about 2 feet apart and my toes are flopped out and open. My legs are very relaxed. My hands are eventually also going to come down like this into Shavasana position. So I have a good foot and a half between my hand and my legs. And my palms are facing up in a receptive position. This opens the upper lungs. So here we go. Have a watch. I'm going to show you what's happening. We are going to fill in 1 breath each chamber. So 1 breath in 4 parts, and it will look about like this. So we will take a nice big inhale and exhale through the mouth, and you'll be using your hands to actually touch your body like I am because you want to feel each region, what's happening. So You'll exhale fully, and I'll cue you for all this. Then we're going to open physically and mentally. We're even just thinking open down here, and I'm touching it with my hands, the lower belly, navel to pelvis, and I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to fill that space up about 3/4 of the way. Then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to touch and think about opening this area, just a slight lift, a slight opening, and then I'm going to fill it up about 3/4 of the way. Then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to open the ribs by literally lifting and widening, and I can touch them, and I'm going to breathe into this chamber, lower lungs. Then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to imagine that I'm opening the upper lungs. It's a very subtle movement. My body's just barely going to move, and I'm going to breathe into the upper lungs. I'm going to hold, and I'll be timing us. And when we release, we just exhale, surrender. And then we'll just have some natural breaths in between, just to integrate. So again, please watch. Starts with a big exhale. Open the lower belly and breathe in to this area. Pause and open. Pause and open, and then breathe in here. Pause, open up here and breathe in. And hold. Already starting to feel so good. I'm so excited to share this exercise with all of you because it's brought so much to my life and my yoga practice. So don't worry if it's not perfectly clear. When you start to do this with me, it will make a lot more sense. So go ahead and come lying down, and I'm going to grab my timer. Okay, so I'm going to use a timer, and you're going to hear it. And you are now laying down comfortably on your blanket burrito. All right, take a moment to arrive. Just making a little adjustment. Sometimes I like to lift my hips up and sort of tuck my tailbone under to get a nice flat contact with the sacrum and the earth, the ground. We're going to be doing increments of 10 seconds. So the first hold will be 20 seconds. Then we're going to do 30, 40, 50, 60, and then we're going to go back down, 50, 40, 30, 20. So allow yourself the grace to be completely okay with not being able to do the whole time. You're not going to be able to do it on this first try, most likely. But each time that you do this, you're going to notice that you're have more capacity. So ideally, this practice would be done regularly for a little while. I used to do it 5 days a week for a year, and that built a tremendous breath capacity inside of me. If you do this in times of need on a daily basis, just until you feel better, that's a great way to use this. You could also do this 3 times a week for a few months if you want to build breath capacity. So the more you do it, the more benefit you're going to get from it. And you can use it acutely when you are dealing with stress, grief, exhaustion, overwhelm. You can come back to this practice and just do it maybe 3 days in a row or 2 days in a row and receive benefit. So let's close our eyes, bring our hands to our body, and as much as possible, try not to turn and look towards me, but you can when you need to. I want you to keep the head and neck centered with the spine as much as possible, and allow yourself to really drop into a deep meditative space by keeping the eyes closed as much as possible. So bring the hands to the low belly, navel to the pelvis. We're going to take a natural breath and push all of it out the mouth. Hold the breath out. You're going to physically open the low belly and breathe in till it's about 3/4 full. Pause. No, bring the hands to the upper belly. Physically open here and breathe in till it's about 3/4 full. Pause. Physically open and touch the low lungs and breathe in to about 3/4 full and pause. And that's just an intuitive 3/4. Doesn't have to be precise or exact. Opening the upper lungs, breathe in and release. One more practice round. Hands touching each region as I guide you through. Remember, you're going to physically open the area and then draw breath in. Even if it's just your mind telling you, I'm opening that area and the body doesn't move, you will notice that sometimes the body will physically move into an opening, and sometimes it's more of just a thought bringing attention to that chamber. So natural breath in, push all the breath out the mouth. Get it all out. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in here. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in here. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in here. And hold. And release. Just take a few natural breaths. With your next breath, exhale fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in here. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in here. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in here. And hold. If you start to feel that you might lose the breath, actually try to sip a little more breath in. When you hear the timer, you get to exhale. Take some natural breaths. Making any adjustments to the physical body as needed. Dropping slowly, more deeply into meditative, restorative state. With your next breath, exhale deeply. Pushing it all out the mouth. Open the lower belly, breathe in here. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in here. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in here. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in here. And hold. Just allowing the natural breath, whatever happens, just staying relaxed, being in a receptive state. Remember that as we continue, if you feel that you might need to exhale, before you do that, try to sip in a little more breath. As we go into the next round, I invite you to visualize beautiful celestial visions, landscapes of stars, planets, nebulas, solar systems, whatever it is that you want to imagine out there in the cosmos. With your next breath, fully exhale through the mouth, let it all go. Open the lower belly, breathe in here. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs and breathe in. And hold. Letting that breath out the mouth or the nose. Don't even think, just be in a state of surrender. When you hear that chime, you just let go. Feeling the weightiness of your body, gravity softening you. Feeling every cell of your body restoring and healing. With your next breath, exhaling fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in. And hold. You feel all kinds of things happening. The eyes gently twitch as we hold in suspension. The whole nervous system replenishing, rejuvenating. All the deep body systems reorganizing into a state of self-healing. So allowing deep absorption. And with the next breath, exhaling fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in there. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in there. And hold. letting go, surrendering, yielding, becoming the receiver, allowing the healing. Next breath, exhale fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in. And hold. Every system of your body communicating with the other. A network of divine wisdom, supporting the healing of each other, each part supporting the other. Nice big breath, push all the breath out. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in. And hold. Next breath, exhale fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, open the upper belly, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in. And hold. Next breath. Exhale fully. Open the lower belly, breathe in. Pause, upper belly opens, breathe in. Pause, open the lower lungs, breathe in. Pause, open the upper lungs, breathe in. And hold. From here, we're going to gently, mindfully, carefully roll to the right side. You know to remember that blanket is under you. You don't want to fall off, so just very slowly. You can even pull the blanket to create a little pillow. Get comfortable here and just allow yourself to rest deeply. Feel the ecstasy of the alchemical frequency that you have generated inside of your body. Every cell oxygenated, filled with prana. Our body thanking us so deeply for this practice. Keeping this deep feeling of relaxation with you, use the strength of your hands and your arms to slowly push yourself up. Slowly push yourself up. And you can even sit up on your blanket, finding a comfortable seat. We're going to bring our hands in front of our heart and rub them together to ground us. Taking 3 deep belly-centered breaths and rubbing vigorously, creating some heat and friction. Let your eyes close down. Belly expands. We feel the breath rising all the way up through the torso now, like a beautiful flame. And when you're ready, gently bring the hands to the heart center, bowing slightly downward with the eyes closed, but dropping the chin slightly, drawing our attention down into the heart, into the body. Next breath, lengthening the spine, sitting up nice and tall. Relaxing into this noble posture, the soul that is willing to show up fully for this life. And let us seal in our practice with 3 ohms together. for all the blessings that we have already received, all the ways that we have been given gifts of life, of creativity, of love, of adventure. Breathing into all the blessings that you have already been given, feeling deep gratitude for this beautiful, one, mysterious, sweet life on planet Earth. Namaste.